What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Arm Barn. We have an awesome guest. He's one of my teammates from pro ball, one of the first guys I ever played with in rookie ball. Well, kinda, because he came a little later on in the season. But he turned out to be one of my good buddies. I'm super stoked to have him on the show. Welcome to the Arm Barn, Crouse.
I'm excited to be on. Dope.
Dude, yeah, me too, man. I'm one of these days I'm going to get you on in person. Because that would be way cool. We'll be able to shoot the shit and chill in person. But I'm glad we got to finally do this. We're going to be able to, talk some crap, get into some stories probably about, our pro ball journey, all this stuff that me and you specifically did together. Because, dude, we had some weird moments, some crazy shit.
I mean, we got some stuff to talk about,
and we were definitely in some
weird things to talk about.
Yeah, some sticky situations. Yeah, so the first thing I like to do is just, give everybody a little intro on you. We're going to get into your, the rundown of your career from, high school to basically, pro ball in the end. So you don't have to go into that detail, but just, give the people where you're from, just where you're living now, what you do, where, just the baseball stuff, though. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we'll talk a little solar, too, because we actually have that in common. But just give me where you're from, give me where you grew up.
Grew up in Dana Point, California. It's SoCal, like a beach city, literally 5-minute walk to the beach. So that was awesome. Live in Glendale, Arizona now, obviously. So me and you are close. We know that.
Let's go.
Baseball wise, I went to USC, played 2 years at USC before having Tommy John surgery. Stepped out for a year and a half, and then came back, played summer ball and collegiate summer ball, and ended up with the Braves in 2019.
Yeah, 2019, baby, Danville. But awesome. Yeah, that's what we'll get into all that stuff. We'll walk it through there. But I know you've listened to the show, so I was hoping, obviously, that you kind of forgot. And I know we talked a little bit for a second about it before the show. But I hope you're excited. I did write a song. I got a little bit extra for this week, just because I had to do a little bit extra, just because I wanted to make it good. And I made a song yesterday. Okay, this is actually going to be kind of funny. I made a song yesterday. I usually do it quick because I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? It's just for laughs and a good time. And I sent it to Nicole like I always do. She's usually my first set of ears that listen to it. And she was like, to be honest, this was the first negative reaction I've got from a song out of any one that I did. Then I was like, okay, maybe she's just, not in a good mood or something. And it wasn't a bad reaction. It wasn't like, oh, that's so funny like it usually is. And then I walked downstairs, play it for my brother like I normally do. And he kind of gave me the worst reaction he's ever given me when I played a song for him. So I was like, damn, maybe it's ass. So I said, fuck it. And I totally scratched the first song, and I locked it in today for a couple hours, and I completely made a new song for today. So yeah, I'm going to ask you in a second here to cut off your mic. But everybody, this is this week's guest song of the week. It's cutting my mic too. It's the Young Gone Podcast. Minor league baseball, a minor league life. Everybody thinks you're rich, but you can't see your wife. They say it's opportunity that just never got through to me. The training was supposed to be the greatest that I've ever seen. Now I'm speaking generally, the only thing they'd say to me, make sure to get your vaccine so you can make it to the big leagues. Yeah, that's the minor leagues.
Let me tell you about the good parts, cause there's a lot of those. Baseball every day and kicking it with your bros. Just a few good months can get you to the show, but until then, you gonna make no dough. I asked all the time what I had to do to play. Sorry, catch. You gotta go catch pens today. Yeah, that's the minor leagues.
All right, everybody. That was this week's guest song of the week. I hope you enjoyed that one. I haven't
That
showed
was
anybody that
awesome.
one because I literally finished it like 10 minutes before
No,
the
that was
show.
awesome.
And to be honest, you know what I was going to try to do tonight, but I just couldn't do it because I wouldn't have been able to keep a straight face with you. I was going to try to convince you before the show tonight. Not before the show, but before I played you the guest song of the week, I was actually going to try to convince you that I was going to be dropping an album and I'm starting to take my music career a little bit more seriously. And then I was going to play that for you. And I was going to try to keep a straight face and pretend like it was serious the whole entire time. But I just knew it wasn't going to be possible. So I just had to basically say that, there was no shot. But dude, I'm going to post that up. I'm not scared anymore. I'm really not scared anymore to, even if it's joking, like that's kind of the approach that I want to take in terms of just talking about some of the crap that we had to deal with throughout our career. And I think the best way to do it is with a sense of humor. Because I think if we just sit here and we bitch and we complain about everything that happened to us, it's obviously just not going to be the way that we want it to come across. And I know we've talked about that before.
And I mean, honestly, like in my case, I could bitch about some things, but I got plenty of opportunity. Your case is a little bit different. You could definitely bitch a little bit more than me for sure. But I mean, a lot of my opportunity was just solely position based. Pitchers always get opportunity. So
yeah, there's always going to be innings to be had. So like, okay, was your opportunity real opportunity, or were you just coming in with the bases loaded and nobody out in a mop-up duty to where you're just from the start? So I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I understand what you're saying, but this is good. This is good. You can say stuff like that, and I can be like, okay, no, that's not how it was, and like same vice versa. So like what you just said, that I can complain a shit ton, which a little bit, but I mean, like I said, I am grateful for a lot of stuff that happened. We'll get into some of it right now, and I'm definitely down to talk some shit. Just one thing quick that I just wanted to say that makes no sense to anything we're going to talk about. But dude, I have an East Coast cell phone number, and I wanted to say this on the air just in case I can clip this and other people are having this issue. I have an East Coast phone number. So obviously East Coast telemarketers are going to call East Coast telephone numbers. So that's a 3-hour difference from where I'm at right now. So I've been getting fucking phone calls
5 and 6 a.m.
4 o'clock in the yes, dude. Just, hey, is this so-and-so looking for health insurance? And I'm like, yo, whatever list this is, whatever list I'm on, take it off permanently or I'm going to freak out. And I say this to people at like 4 o'clock in the morning every day. So I've been just starting my day off on the wrong foot.
That's crazy
when it comes to that. But yeah, that's all I got. Just wanted to mention that because it's been pissing me off. But all right, let's run down the career just real quick before we dive into obviously the bulk of pro ball. But I think you have an awesome story. So let's get into it a little bit. Give me some of I know you're like a huge, like, dude, you were like a big time prospect coming out of high school. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're ripping 95 mile an hour heaters, as a 17, 18-year-old. So give me a little bit of what that was like, because that was definitely not me. And I have a bunch of different people on this show. So just get into like what it was like getting recruited by USC and give me a little bit.
So, I mean, honestly, my high school, I wasn't a big time prospect. I mean, I wasn't until my senior year. It was probably the last start of my junior year in high school in a CIF game. I think I hit 92 in that game, and that was like my like coming out party essentially. And then that summer, I ended up making the area code teams for SoCal, which I mean, area codes in itself is a big deal, but if you make it in SoCal, it's a very big deal. I mean, SoCal baseball is legit. Um, did that. I ended up getting invited because of that by various scout teams to go do like some perfect game tournaments. I think the Jupiter tournament was another one. I had a chance to pitch against the Evo Shield Canes. And I mean, the Evo Shield Canes that year, they had, I think, 4 pitchers that went in the first round and like 3 position players that went in the top 3. So, I mean, there was like 300 scouts at that game that I had the opportunity to pitch in. I hit a 95 there, and that was kind of where my stock really kind of started to take off for my senior year.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I never really had many opportunities like to play like that kind of high school baseball where it was like, you know, going up against big time recruits like that. And the only time I did, I used to tell my Florida teammates about it. Florida resident teammates about it, I should say. And I'd be like, yo, I came down to Florida this one time, played Chet Lemon Juice. That was the name of this team. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. He was like a big leaguer. I apologize. My baseball knowledge is good, but I don't know who Chet Lemon is. I think it was his name.
And I'm actually really good at baseball knowledge. So
so that's what I'm saying. So he was a big leaguer, I think, had big league time, runs that travel ball organization. And their team name was Chet Lemon Juice. And I'll never forget this. I rolled down there with my Long Island local travel team, and we were playing against this team. And all of a sudden my coach is like, yo, some of these guys are like going to UF and like USF and Florida State. And I'm like, damn, like I'm hyped. Let's go. Like I want to see what I can do against these guys. And the first kid was just this little lefty hucking like 96 when we were like 16, 17 years old. And that was like the first time I was like, yo, I need to legitimately step up my game to be able to compete with these freak shows around the country. So now I'm glad that one of those freak shows was you. So definitely, continue. Give me a little bit more, dive into, getting recruited by
So, I mean, originally going into my senior year, and honestly, the entire time through my senior year, I was actually committed to the University of San Francisco. I had a pitching coach that I worked with when I was a freshman in high school, Seth Etherton. He went on to coach AA for the Reds, and now he's actually the pitching coach for USC. So he was the pitching coach at San Francisco at the time. And because of that, I had like a sense of loyalty to him. So I kind of wanted to follow where he was. And right after the draft, my senior year, he got fired. They actually led the conference in ERA that year, but their team didn't do that well, and he was just kind of the fall guy. So when he left, I basically reached out to San Francisco, and I was just like, yo, I'm not going here anymore. Like, I'm going to go to a JC. This was after I had turned down the draft as well. And they basically were like, okay, go to a JC. We're not going to release you from your NLI. Then they sent me a text like a week later stating that, hey, could I sign something for them so they could use my scholarship money? And I basically told them to go shove it. And 24 hours later, I got an email with my NLI release. So I was like open to go to any school that I wanted to again, any 4-year that I wanted to again. And USC was one of the first schools that reached out to me before I had committed to San Francisco when I was like a sophomore in high school. And they were like the first school to reach out to me post NLI release. And when they reached out to me, I mean, they gave me a really good offer, and I pretty much was just like, yeah, this is where I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's USC. Yeah. I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, yeah, sure. Like, where's the piece of paper? I'm signing. Offer?
Perfect. Let's get it rolling. I actually.
Dude, you ever think about all this, new stuff, how much money you could have signed for, how much money you could have
I
made
do
and stuff there?
sometimes, but in all reality, I don't know if it would have ever been that much. I mean, like college
Yeah, I
baseball in
still don't
The Pac-12
agreed.
especially, like it's just not big. Uh,
Yeah.
like maybe if you're going to like LSU or like Ole Miss or something like that, you know what I mean? You're NLS. Yeah,
Like
yeah, Tennessee right now,
Tennessee, I
100%,
feel like you could
100%
probably
right
make some
now.
money.
But I don't think in the
Yeah.
Pac-12 there was really ever money to be made. I mean, I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, but
Yeah, no, for sure. I always think about it too, though. Even like my D2, I always think about it because we had the Chick-fil-A down the block from Eckerd was owned by an Eckerd
hmm
baseball alumni, right? Really nice guy, would always do nice stuff for us. So I feel like maybe we would have reaped some sort of benefits from that kind of stuff a little bit more. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe we could have got something
yeah,
if we were just a little
I mean, I
proactive.
definitely think I probably would have gotten some free meals at the, Chipotle or Habit that was close to the campus for sure.
That's what I'm saying. It might have been a little bit nicer just to be like, even for me, like, okay, maybe a local restaurant now just decides to give us some free stuff because it doesn't break
Right?
an
Yeah.
NCAA violation, which
Yeah.
is
No,
ridiculous.
I mean, it was crazy
Um,
back then.
Dude, I know you obviously probably had some, I want to imagine, decent perks going to USC. One of my buddies, he went to Iowa. I just happened to room with him when I was at the Cape for like the couple weeks I was at the Cape. Super good kid, Ben Norman. I think he's actually still playing pro ball. He used to tell me, no joke, he used to tell me that at Iowa, he used to get a debit card, and every month they would put $600 on that debit card for whatever they wanted,
Yeah.
like a student athlete card. And they had a list of things that they
Uh,
couldn't buy, right, with that money. Um, but guess what you could do with that
yeah.
money? No, you could
Yeah.
take
You could
out
do whatever you
cash.
wanted. Yeah.
So yeah. So like they would check the purchases and stuff. So we used to just roll to the ATM, pay the
Yeah.
$3 service fee, and we used to just we used to just
$580
pull money
out.
and buy and
Yeah.
yeah. And so he used to be like, he goes, I used to only have to pay for, I used to put that
Yeah.
money towards books sometimes. He said if I needed a little extra for rent or if I wanted to move, he was like, I could use it for whatever I wanted. I was like, that is so sick. I wish I had something like that. That would have made my life a lot easier. But all right. All right. So obviously USC happens. You decide to,
Yeah.
leave USC. Then you get called from like a coach that you
Yeah. When
used
I
to
was
have,
12,
right?
I played travel ball. Yeah.
And you go play college. Yeah, you go play college summer ball
OC
for what
Riptide.
team? OC Riptide. Okay. And Scout sees you from the Braves, I'm assuming, and offers you after how many weeks?
Yeah.
How
So
long were you
I
there?
was there, what, June and part of July. Um, I got invited to the All-Star game for that league, and I closed the ninth inning of that All-Star game, and I was up to 95. I mean, slider, you know what my slider is. My slider was really good that day. And Braves guy comes up to me, and he's just like, hey, you're like, expect a phone call at some point tomorrow. Uh, and he called me about 10 a.m. the next day, and he was like, how does $5,000 sound? And I forget exactly how much, but X amount for, your college tuition plan sound to come play for us. And I was like, sign me up, dude. At that point, that was all I could ask for. Yeah. Yeah.
It's exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
you're looking for at that point. Makes sense. No, totally makes sense. So you get to Danville. We're in Danville together. You get there. We hung out in
Yeah.
Danville at the field, but we didn't really hang out too much for some reason off the field,
Yeah, I
which
am
I'm
too, because
pissed
that would have
about.
been because that
I'm
would have been
literally
probably one of the
so
best ways
mad.
to do it, honestly. Yeah.
Yes. I totally agree. But to be honest, we chilled in the bullpen all the time. We
No,
chilled
we
at the
did.
field a lot. I feel like we were always
Yeah.
talking and hanging out at the field. Whenever I was in the I did play
Yeah.
a decent amount that season, but when I was in the bullpen, we would hang out down there. We would play, the game password against each other, which is so funny. I love being able to talk about this kind of stuff too, because, when I was a player, I didn't want them knowing that we were playing
Oh, yeah,
password
which
down
is like,
in the bullpen
I mean, what do you
and
want us to do down there? We're sitting there in the
not
bullpen
paying
watching
attention. Yeah, not
watching
paying attention.
thousands of innings.
Volquez throw
Yeah.
96. It's
Yeah.
14-2
Yeah.
in the second inning, and Volquez hasn't thrown a strike in 16 pitches. But we really shouldn't be saying too many names. But there's a million Volquezes,
No.
so they won't know who it is. But other than that, pretty good Danville year, I would say, for the most part. I got an opportunity to play. You definitely pitched a
Yeah.
decent amount. I remember you coming in. I don't know if you threw fantastic, however you did, but
Yeah,
I remember it was pretty
I threw well
electric.
that year. Yeah.
Banging some sliders. Your fastball was coming out
the
real
best
hot
it was
that
in
season.
Pro Bowl that year,
So it was,
honestly. Yeah.
yeah, fastball wise, I
Yeah.
would definitely agree with that. And then kind of the shit show of our baseball careers kind of started
That next spring
after
training.
that year is when it kind of just, was when it kind of just turned into, we don't care about, anybody but a select few guys. Now that COVID's happening, we're going to make all these rules that make your life a living hell when you're here. If you don't get the vaccine, we're going to pretend
We don't care.
that you're not going to
But
be
we
able
really
to.
care.
Yeah, we're going to pretend. Yeah, we're going to pretend too that if you don't get the vaccine, that you're not going to be able to move up or move down. You're going to be locked at your level. You're not going to be able to go to the big league squad because they're looking for people who are vaxxed, so they don't have to deal with that. So that was 2 years. That was 2 years we were told that. That was that was 2 years that we were told that. Then all of a sudden we go back and yes, after a canceled year. So they told us that basically up till the 2023 spring training. So like literally the entire offseason they wanted us to get vaxxed. They started telling us about the booster before spring training, and then we got there. They were encouraging the booster, and they also were still saying we want everybody to be vaxxed. Then all of a sudden, you didn't have to be vaxxed. Major League Baseball came out and said that it's not a rule, that minor leaguers don't have to be vaxxed, major leaguers don't have to be vaxxed. So essentially, we did it for nothing. And I held off. I don't know about how long. I don't remember how long you held off. I held off a pretty long time. It was after that what was that? After the 2022 spring training? No, 2021 spring training. After the 2021 spring training, it was. Because it was leading into Rome, and Rome was 2021.
Because 2020 was canceled. Yeah.
So leading into, so 2020 is canceled. Obviously they're telling us to get the vaccine pre-spring training in 2021. When we get there, trying to reach 85%, I think was the number. That was like being strongly encouraged that we wanted to get to that number, but they also wanted it to be 100%. That way all the rules could go away or whatever it was at the time. So as that season went on, I held off probably, I think, for a couple months, even once we reported. So I made it through spring training. I made it through a couple months. And then it was just to the point now where I wasn't playing, right? So I wasn't getting any opportunities at any at-bats. Every day when I would walk into the locker room, every day, the first thing that got said to me by anybody was, you change your mind about the vaccine? Do you want to get the vaccine? Are you looking to set up an appointment for the vaccine? And so, to be honest, pairing it up with getting said that, getting told that every day, and pairing that up with not getting any opportunity to play, it started going through my head that I was like, maybe I need to get the vaccine for me to be activated and me to try to get some ABs. I'm not going to lie. I may not have vocalized that a lot, but that's exactly what was going through my head. I was like, I think I'm going to need to get the vaccine.
It had to have
Simple
gone
as that.
through your head.
Because like then too, when I heard people say, oh, we've heard that nobody's going to be able to switch levels unless you have the vax. So I'm thinking, damn, so if somebody, I obviously don't wish injury, but if somebody goes down in low A and something opens up to where I can start getting some consistent ABs, I'm thinking, man, if I don't have the vax, they're not going to choose me to give me that opportunity. So when that happened, I was like, can you just flip it back? It didn't rotate. Yeah, no, you're all good. It don't matter. It'll be funny. No, it's all good. It was funny as hell. But like that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yo, I got to get the vax to be able to give myself a chance to get an opportunity at low A or high A. I was like, I want a chance to play. So that's what started going through my head. I was like, let me do that. Got the vaccine. No joke. Within 24 hours, an over amount of regret. It was the worst I had ever felt. I was like, damn, like I feel like ass right now. I'm a 23-year-old healthy, 24-year-old, maybe at the time, healthy as hell. I was like, listen, I just don't think that. Also, for me, I have a bunch of allergies. I've had bad reactions to medicine before in the past. You know this. I'm allergic to a million different things. So I started to like, I wasn't like super nervous on that end, but I was like, bro, if I take this vaccine and I have like a bad reaction to where I'm like hospitalized and shit, I'm going to be furious. That didn't happen, but the 24 hours after was the worst I've ever felt in my life. And I think you had a similar experience, right?
Mine was like 48 hours, honestly, after, where, I mean, I joke about it. No, yeah, I joke about it all the time, but I say there's only 3 times I felt like I was dying in my life. One of them was when I had to get my emergency tonsillectomy. The other one was some flu I had when I was a kid that I was like running like a 103 or something like that. And the third time was when I got the vaccine. And both shots.
I can name 2.
Screwed me up.
But me too. Me too.
The second one, I think the first and the second one, I mean, brutal.
Yep.
Yeah, brutal.
Wrecked my ass. Literally for me, this is a perfect lead in. This is a perfect lead in to what I want to talk about right now during that Rome year. This is something funny that happened. Nobody believed me besides a few guys and a couple other people. But let's just talk about it because it's a funny ass thing that happened to me during that season, even though it was not funny. But it's funny now. So we're obviously talking about, the trainers and everybody telling us it wasn't them. That's not what I'm saying. It wasn't them with the vaccine. They were just doing their jobs 100%. That I'm not saying at all. But it's the same people that are telling you to get the vaccine every day, all this stuff. All of a sudden, like, I want to say like halfway through the Rome season, we were in our long trip up in the Northeast, and we get Qdoba before the game. And as soon as I ate the Qdoba, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell this is going to do to me, but it ain't going to be good. So it went on for like a couple days where I was having bad stomach issues. And I was like, man, this is like the worst crap. I thought it was food poisoning. I thought it'd be done after a couple days. Wasn't going away. It was getting progressively worse. And it got to the point, I don't want to get into too much gross detail for everybody listening on the podcast, but it got to the point where like, my mom's a doctor and I was sending her pictures of the craps I was taking because like, I've never seen something like this before in my life. So I was like, yo, I'm dying. I was like, I've never felt like this. You remember me coming in. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do. So I start going to the trainers. I'm like, listen, I'm aware that if my diet is affecting me like this, like I'm fully on board that I will make some adjustments. I'm on board, but we need to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. Right. He goes, he takes a look. He's like, what kind of issues you have? And I'm like, listen, my stomach's killing me. I'm going to the bathroom, all that good stuff. And he goes, what did he say to me? No, it's a famous line. He looks at me and he goes, do like 3-4 days of Pepto-Bismol and you should be fine. I was like, listen, trainer. I won't say his name. I was like, listen, trainer. I was like, listen, trainer, are you kidding me? Like, I've never taken Pepto-Bismol in my life. Literally, I'm serious. Pepto-Bismol was not something my parents gave us. I was like, I've never taken Pepto-Bismol in my life. Is this shit a miracle worker? Because I don't think it's going to do shit, right? So I'm literally saying this. I was like, because I'm dying right now. I was like, if that's over the counter, it ain't happening. So it's not going to work. So I'm like, I don't think Pepto-Bismol is working, but fine. You know what? If this guy's the person I'm supposed to, listen to, okay. 4 days of Pepto-Bismol. After 2, it's getting worse. So I don't think don't get me wrong. I don't think the Pepto-Bismol was causing it to get worse, but it was getting worse.
Yeah.
But it was just getting worse. So now my fiance, Nicole, comes. And she's been hearing me complain about this and thinking that I'm like kind of being a bitch. And she gets there and I pick her up from the airport and she's like, and I tell her that she has to wait a few minutes because I had to pull over and go to the bathroom. She's like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, just come get me. And then you can go. I was like, you don't understand. I was like, you don't understand. It's like not an option. Like, it's not like I can choose to go or not. And so she's getting all pissed at me. She sees me physically. She sees me for the first time. And she goes, oh my God, you look like shit. I was like, I know. I was like, I've lost like 15 pounds in the last week. I said, I don't know what to do. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. She's like, okay, you need to go to the hospital. So that was the first time I went to the hospital. Shit show at the hospital. They tell me that they think I have IBS. You remember that. I came back to the field. They tell me I have IBS. So that's when you hear me. Oh, never mind. I'll cut that out. That's when you hear the trainer tell me that it's my diet that's affecting me. It's my fault. It's the stuff that I'm eating that are causing reactions. Could have been the Qdoba, something spicy like that, whatever. I was like, okay, maybe I do have IBS. I'll go see a doctor and maybe I'll get put on something or I'll just start watching what I eat. And you were all there for this. You were literally there every day this was going on. And finally, I start eating fine. I'm eating basically bread every day or like Cheerios or like yogurt. You know what I mean? Trying to get back on track to where I just don't feel like ass. Not going away. Getting worse. Nicole's like with me the whole week. She's like, yo, you need to go to the hospital and you need to get tests done. Finally, I start to get tests done. They start really believing me. $1,500 worth of antibiotics. You hear that? After the insurance. So the insurance covers that medication, that prescription.
Yeah.
And we have good insurance with the Braves. It was still $1,500 for those prescription for that antibiotics that had to cure me from that bug that I had in my stomach, that infection that I had in my stomach. I was complaining for 2 weeks and got told that Pepto-Bismol would solve it. So that's just an idea of just a great thing that happened to us during our pro ball career that, we're dealing with on a daily basis. I'm trying to focus on getting playing time and focus on getting better to try to get on the field. And I'm too busy dealing with, and I'm at the hospital for a stomach thing that was probably caused by the Qdoba. So yeah, moving on. Let's fast forward to 2022 spring training. Okay. Give me how it went for you. Give me what, you were being told. Give me what, like, your outlook and what you thought was going to happen, going into the 2022 season.
Going into the 2022 season, I think you have to look back at my Rome year a little bit to understand what I was going through in spring training. But so obviously in Rome,
for sure.
My first, month and a half in Rome, I pitched like shit. My arm was hurting. I was thinking I was going to have a second TJ.
Yeah.
I felt like shit every day. And
it wasn't like a mystery. Like, you would literally come in and be like, yo, I hope they give me like a day or something because I need to like figure it out. Yeah.
To the Braves' credit, for the most part, they were pretty good with it, but they had me pitch through it when I think that I should have just been shelved for a little bit of time. I think I got pushed because of the position I was in with the Braves. So, it made sense to me as well. It wasn't something that I was like freaking out about, but it was like I needed more recovery time than I was getting. I mean, my velo at the beginning of the year was like 88 miles an hour. They thinking I was throwing like slider, or they thought I was throwing like sliders when I was throwing fastballs. One of my outings, and I mean,
Oh, jeez.
so that happened after the ooh, after the 2 month, that like month and a half, I put together I mean a really like the middle part of the year, and then towards the end of the year, I tapered off again. Just started getting hit around a little bit more. Nothing to do with my arm. I just got hit, and so that off season, I get a call from the higher ups, and they basically want to turn me into ZD 2.0. And they dropped my slam.
Speaking of ZD 2.0, I would like to, in the next couple weeks, get you guys to come on together. That would be awesome. So like maybe like within the next couple months or so. I mean, it could be 10 episodes from now for all I care. But I would love to get you and ZD on the show together. I feel like that would be a really good time. We could talk about some basement adventures and all that good stuff, because that's some stuff that we're not going to get into too much tonight, just because I just don't have that on the list of things to do.
Be a part of that.
But yeah, keep going.
But yeah, so I mean, they try and turn me into ZD 2.0 side armor. I come in. I mean, my stuff was good from down there all spring. I go to Rome, and I just have some control issues at the beginning. And I mean, it was a very quick leash with me once they dropped me to sidearm. But yeah, I mean, spring training, I threw fairly well in spring training. There was a lot of, I don't know, it's just a lot of like positioning, especially, I mean, for everyone really, of like what team you think you're going to end up with based on where you're throwing, who you're throwing with, who you're throwing against.
Yeah, and it's the classic. It doesn't matter.
I mean, complete horseshit. Yeah, no, it's horseshit.
Which is bogus. It totally matters. I mean, yeah, everybody literally, like, don't get me wrong, there's a couple changes that happen. I'm one of the guys that was just on the bubble of everything. I could have gone anywhere. But like, obviously, I would say for like 85 to 90% of the guys, like exactly the group that you move up and down to throughout spring training is the place that you end up going.
I mean, I also think going into spring training, I was kind of a fringe guy. It was like if the sidearm thing was really working out, they might have thrown me into double A. If it wasn't working out as much, they'd throw me into high A. I started spring training throwing to mainly the double A, triple A guys, and then I ended spring training throwing to mainly the high A guys. And the high A guys that is where I ended up out of spring training.
Yeah, that was like the crazy part for me was like, dude, I was playing
well too.
Like, you remember, like, I was getting ABs and I was catching well. That was the thing for me. Like, I would always, don't get me wrong, I wasn't like, I didn't rake by any means, but like, I would always hit good enough. And then they would, for some reason, they just wouldn't like me behind the dish. And I honestly 100% believe that I agree with them up until that 2022 year. That 2022 year, I just feel like I was catching really well behind the dish. I feel like the receiving stuff started to click for me. Dude, I was backpicking dudes at spring training. Like, who's the first overall pick for the Pirates on the catcher?
Oh God. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Henry Davis.
Yeah, Henry Davis. Yeah.
Is that his name? Okay, so Henry Davis, we're playing against Henry Davis in Bradenton. I don't know if you were there this day or on the other field. And he walked or something like that. And this kid, dude, he's the first overall pick. And I literally backpicked this dude from my knees. I mean, I was just, I was backpicking a decent amount of guys at spring training. And I just feel like nobody would say anything to me. Other people would do really good things at spring training, be blocking a bunch, make some nice blocks, make some nice plays, receive really well. And every single time the next day, they would talk about it. We would bring it up as at the meeting with the catchers. They would talk about it, and nothing ever got said about me. And I feel like I had my best spring training by far, especially behind the dish.
Yeah, no, I would
So when that
agree.
happened, I was just like, yeah. And I was just like, yo, like what's going on? Like they don't, and then the thing is everybody but the catching coach and like the catching position people, I was getting really good feedback. Like I was hearing things from some of the managers and some of the hitting coaches like, yo, we really like, you lost some weight. Your body looks better. You're way more athletic. We're really liking what we're seeing. That's what I was being told by a lot of coaches and a lot of people. And then the day the rosters come out, you're there for all of this. And you're one of the first people I tell all this stuff to. The day the rosters come out, one of the managers of the high A team comes up to me and is just basically like, listen, I'm super excited. Like I was like, yo, like, do you know what's going on? He was like, yeah, I'm super excited. Like you're coming to Rome with me. I think you'll be activated. If not, like you'll be able to play sometimes. I was like, all right. I was like, awesome. I'm going to high A, give myself a chance to play a little bit. Hopefully I'll get in there once or twice a week, whether it's a catch spot, DH spot, whatever it is. I was like, at least I can play myself into some playing time.
Opportunity.
Show what I got. Give myself a chance. And I want to say, like, at the end of the day, so what, 4 or 5 hours later, I'm catching bullpens for one of the AA games. I had started and caught like 8 innings the day before. So that's why I was feeling good. I was like, yo, they let me catch 7, 8 innings the day before. And now they're giving me the off day of just, catching pens like normal guys do. I was like, let's go. I was like, I'm fired up. In the middle, so in the morning, I get told that. In the middle of catching those bullpens, coach calls me over. Listen, we were just doing some last minute roster changes. You're actually going to be in AA, but you're going to be inactive for the season. You're going to be in a really similar spot than you were in 2021. But you're just going to be in AA. And I was like, and obviously, and he said to me, this is the quote that I'll never forget. He said, I just wanted to tell you this so you don't feel like it was blindsiding you. And I literally looked at him and I was like, listen, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm not going to freak out. But you realize like what you just did to me was the definition of blindsiding me, right? I literally got told this morning that I was going to high A to finally get my opportunity after 2 years of not one game, basically. After 2 years, I got told this morning that I was going to get my shot a little bit to play. And now you're telling me a couple hours later, I'm now in the same position as I was in last year? And he was like, yeah. And he was just like, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. I was like, all right. Went home, spoke to my family, all that stuff. Talked to Nicole, all that good stuff. Kind of started to think about, talked to you guys, started to think about making my decision. Went in the next day, asked for a meeting with some of the, higher, couple of the big wigs, some of the high up people, asked all the questions that I basically been wanting to ask for the last 3 years. And after hearing the answers from them, it was basically clear that from the start, I was basically looked upon, probably post-COVID, from post-COVID on, I was looked upon as like a guy that they just liked having in the organization because I didn't bitch and complain about doing the shit that nobody else wanted to do. So because I didn't bitch and complain about that, and I actually went above and beyond and did a really good job at my role, because of that, it cemented me in that role, and they only looked at me in that role, and they only saw value for me in that role. So that's all that they could offer me. And I basically asked them, like, what was the point of, holding on to me these past 3 years? And he said, because we don't like to get good guys. We don't like to let good guys in the organization go. And I said, well, you just wasted a good guy's playing career holding on to me and not giving me one chance to even show anybody else what I got or have any numbers to go out and try to get something better and try to get signed by another team. And I said that to all. I literally said that before I asked for my release. So after this conversation, I don't want to say it got heated because I was respectful. But after these conversations, they looked at me. I looked at them, and I was like, so are we good? I was like, am I still like making a decision here? And he was like, yeah, like we still want you around. We don't want you going anywhere. We definitely want you to be a part of the Braves. And I was like, all right, like I'm going to have to think about it.
I'm gonna have to take a day and let you know that's what I want to do.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, you know what? Can you give me a couple hours? I'm gonna think about it a little bit, and then I'll let you know. And I really was thinking about it though. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do at that point. I had a really good idea. After he said, and I'll probably go into more detail about some of this stuff someday. But after he said some of the things that he said to me, it basically a light switch went in my head that said, my time here is done. Like whether my baseball career is over or not, I'm not sure. I was okay if it was the end right there, which it obviously ended up kind of being.
Yeah, so I mean, same.
But yeah, that's kind of
same boat, kind of the end, but not quite. But yeah,
I was just like, I'll give it a shot for a little bit. But I really did accept the fact that just like, because I was over, and like I'm a very positive person at the end of the day. Okay, don't get me wrong. I know if some of the guys in the bullpen heard me saying this, they'd be like, Mitch, come on, you were talking, you would bitch and you would complain. But at the end of the day, I brought a smile and I brought a positive energy pretty much to the field all the time, especially when we were out on the field.
Oh, 100%.
Right? When we were out on the field doing stuff,
that Rome bullpen was
I would say,
and a lot of it had to do with just the camaraderie that you helped build in the bullpen, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I did. I took pride in it because, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I just like being a good – I don't want to say a good teammate, but I just like being a good guy. Like, I like being a nice guy. And I'm not going to lie. At the end of – like, now that I've had some time to reflect on it, I definitely feel like that ended up biting me in the ass more than helping me in pro ball. Okay? So that's – I would not change what I did. I would not change how I act. I would not change how I am really for anything. But I definitely started to notice myself, and I'm sure you started to notice too, that like, we had to change the way we talked. We had to change the way we acted within the four walls of the locker room and within the four walls of being, a part of it. So I just felt like I hate to be so corny and like cliche, but I did feel like I kind of lost myself a little bit, like within all that. And now that I've been out of it and I've had some time to reflect, I've really realized that I feel like I just got taken advantage of in the terms of how nice I was. Like, I feel like I wish I would have spoken up and caused a little bit more of a ruckus just to see if it got me my shot. Like, if I bitched and complained enough, like maybe they would have been like, okay, let's just give him a week. And if he plays like shit, he's gone. If he plays good, we'll give him a shot. Maybe they would have done that. But to be honest, I did that. I went into the office. I was asking, what can I do to play? What can I do to, get on the field? All that stuff. But that's really what I wanted to get into. Now, give me a little bit, if you want, do you want to talk about, how you got released? Do you want to, speak on that? Is it interesting at all? I don't think I've ever even spoken to you about it.
I mean, I'll say I saw the writing on the wall the whole week. So, I mean, I went into the season. My first outing wasn't very good.
So the last out of spring training, my first start didn't go that well. Relief appearance, first outing didn't go that well, and then the next week, I threw on Monday. No, Monday's off day. Tuesday, and that Tuesday also didn't go well. And then I didn't throw.
Command? Like it was
command?
Yeah,
my stuff was gross. I mean, I punchied the side both outings. I just walked like 3 guys each time too. So I had like 6 strikeouts, 6 walks.
Okay.
So then I didn't pitch the rest of that week. And by the time, Saturday rolled around and I still hadn't thrown, everyone was like leaping me in the bullpen. I kind of knew what was going to happen. So then the Sunday game ended, and after the Sunday game, manager called me into the office, and when he called me into the office, he went to say, he went to give his, spiel, and I was just like, dude, you don't even got it. Like, I know what's going on here. uh,
That's like, I wanted to ask you about that. I kind of wanted to hear
yeah,
that a little bit, just like you said right there, just because that didn't happen for me. Like it wasn't like I was like, oh my gosh, like I think today's the day that I'm getting released.
yeah,
It wasn't like, I had a couple outings or a couple games, whatever it was, that like I was like, okay, like I could start to see the writing on the wall. It was crazy because throughout my entire career, you were basically there the whole time. I maybe was the most secure
yeah,
person on the
no, yeah.
team.
Like you weren't going anywhere.
Just because, dude, I'm serious. I actually think they would have let me just rot in the bullpen. And don't get me wrong, it could have maybe led to something else like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
But like, I legitimately think they would have just let me rot
I
in the
think they would have
bullpen.
kept you there for 7 years, and then you would have been the big league
Yeah,
bullpen catcher. Yeah, that's
yes,
exactly what I think was going to
literally,
happen.
I would have had to grind it out, making $9,000. Maybe if I bitched and complained, it would have gone up a little bit more than that over the
Yeah,
next couple of years. But I totally agree. No matter how good I looked in practice, no matter how good I took BP, no matter how good of a spring training I took, I really do believe that they just saw me as a bullpen guy because of how, I don't even know if it was because of how good I did, but just my personality, the way I am, just obviously is a good
yeah.
fit
I
for
mean, I
that
think a
role.
lot of it had to do with like how well the Rome bullpen did the year you were there too,
Yeah, and then of course I go to
and
freaking
their bullpen was
Mississippi, and as
struggling, and
soon
then
as
it
I
was
get to
lights out.
Mississippi,
Yeah,
yeah, and like it was, don't get me wrong, like those dudes are nasty. It had nothing to do with like, I don't want to say it had anything to
right,
do
right.
with me at all, but it was just like the series of events that happened. It literally basically laid it out to where it was like, yo, Mitch is like awesome at handling the staff and the bullpen, so like we're gonna continue to just use him because that's
Yeah.
where we see his value. But yeah, no, I'm glad you shared that a little bit about just getting released because I was just wondering like if you could kind
Oh
of
yeah, no,
feel it
I mean, I
because
know it was
that obviously just did. That's just not how
yeah,
it went for me. Um, but that's awesome. All right, last thing really about baseball that I want to get into is just
yeah,
Mike Harris. Right, we had a front row seat to his high A season. Now looking back, I was talking about it with Darius through text the other day, and I just said to him, I was basically like, yo, looking back now, we would say all kinds of stuff. Like I am on the record saying that I think Mike Harris is going to be the greatest baseball player to
yeah.
ever walk planet Earth. And just in case it does happen to where it's that level, I want to just make sure everybody knows that I
Well,
said
yeah, I
that in
got to get
high
some
A.
things out there too, and
Um,
I said it in high A because my
yeah,
God,
yeah, that's what we used to sit there. We used to be like, yo, I've never seen anybody do that
well, I
ever
mean, we
before in
would
my
say in
life.
high A that he
We,
was like if he got called up that year, he was probably the best defensive center fielder in the big leagues. And I mean, he goes to the
yes,
big leagues in day
in the big
one,
leagues.
he's the best defensive center fielder in the big leagues.
I couldn't agree more. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of guys that can make like crazy catches, but if you're looking for a guy who is going to cover every single inch
Yeah,
of the outfield and never make an error and literally chooch dudes and just cut balls off that you would never think would be cut off,
yeah.
it's Mike Harris. Like, and now that we've seen him doing it in the big leagues, it's insane, dude. It's insane. He was
Oh
bored
yeah.
in high A. He was legitimately bored. So I'll talk about him probably all the time on the show. One thing I wanted to ask you, I know we spoke about it a little bit before the show, but knowing Mike and just knowing how we all interacted in the locker room, all that stuff, like you gotta believe that during the off season, if I shot him a text or an Instagram DM, you gotta believe that he would
Yeah,
probably
no,
hop on the show,
100%
right?
he'd come on the show. He I mean,
Yeah, I
you
was
guys are
like,
boys in high A, like yeah.
yeah, yeah. My brother was asking me because like I hate being like a name dropper, and like being that guy who's like, oh, I played and
Yeah.
I know Mike Harris. Like it just wasn't like that. I mean, I was playing ping pong with the damn dude
Yeah, no,
in the locker
he's
room
coming
pretty
on
much
if he
every
asks to come
day.
on.
So yeah, so I just obviously I've actually I spoke with him. I want to say like a month or two ago when we were singing. When he was starting to pimp ding dongs in the big leagues,
Yeah,
basically. I was like, he posted one on his story, and I just responded to it and reacted to it, and we were messaging back and forth for a few minutes. But I just obviously I don't want to bother him when he's on a rookie
yeah,
of the year tour right now. So once the playoffs are over, once everything, I mean, probably a few months into the off season, I'll hit him up and I'll be like, Mike, listen, if you want to come on the show, I'd love to have you on the show. It'd be awesome. I've had Darius, had Crouse, had a bunch of guys, so I'm sure he'd hop on.
He definitely would.
So I'm hoping, I'm looking forward to asking him for sure. So yeah, we'll talk about Mike. You'll be back on the show. A couple things that we didn't get to that I definitely want to talk about is our journey to spring training. So next time you come on the show, we'll definitely give the listeners a nice rundown of the story of us traveling to spring training together in 2022. Yeah, and the fact that we found out Daniels wasn't showing up on the way.
Dude, it
was even better.
The day we got to the hotel.
A day before.
I went to check into my room. And they were like,
true. I forgot.
Yeah, Daniels.
And you didn't have a roommate?
No.
That was, I remember that. That was just we got there and we finally thought everything was just going to be settled down, chill. We were going to see Daniels and we were going to just chill out, before spring training. And then we got there and he wasn't even fucking there. But yeah, we'll get into all that. You're going to be on the show a couple more times, over the next few months. So it'll be a blast. I want to have Daniels on too. So we can talk about all that stuff then. But all right. When I did my solo episode last week, I just called this kind of part of the show, my thoughts of the week. So yeah, let's talk about this fantasy matchup that we have. It's kind of part of my thoughts of the week. I'm in a couple different fantasy leagues, actually 3, one with Nicole's family, one with a dynasty league with guys from all over the country, and then our East versus West league, which is kind of my personal favorite because the dynasty league, don't get me wrong, I got friends in that one, but they're more like my brother's closer friends. In our East versus West league, it's about me and half of my buddies, and then my brother and half of his buddies. And it's half of us are from out here in like Arizona, this area, and then the other half is from the East Coast. So it's pretty awesome. Everybody kind of takes it pretty seriously, and we just happen to be playing against each other this week. And I personally, on paper, I think we both have top 3 teams in the league, if healthy, obviously. And I think our matchup is going to be kind of crazy this week. I think, Swift versus McCaffrey could go either way, who outscores who. The big thing for me, I think I'm going to have to outscore you in my flex spots because obviously your quarterback is probably going to score more points than me.
I mean, you never know.
I have Stafford.
He hooked up with Cup last week, but that was about it. But if they go off, I mean, I'm in trouble.
True. But to be honest, though, you got to think about Mark Andrews had a quiet game. Lamar didn't really rush that much because he could torch him with his arm against the Jets.
Throw the ball that well. He just had a few over the top last week that kind of.
That's what I'm saying. So who are they playing? Who's Lamar playing this week?
It's
I can actually look right here on my phone quick. I actually don't even know. I've been locked in on the Steelers lately. I'm not going to lie because, their defense looked absolutely insane last week. And I've just been, they're playing Miami. So they're going to have to, Miami's a solid football team. He's going to run the ball and they're going to get him out there. Yeah. So I'm confident, there's going to be some matchups. We'll see how it goes. I'm curious to see if Javonte Williams, kind of takes the next step too, maybe gets in the end zone, see what happens this week. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I love playing my buddies and we'll see what happens.
I need hopefully a dub this week just because last week, my team had a great week last week and I think I got beat by 1.5 points, dude, which is the 3rd year in a row in fantasy where opening week I get beat by a point. 2 points.
I went 3-0 in all 3 of my leagues in the first week, and last year 0-3. So I'm feeling real good. I'm finally not in that 0-1 hole. That's the worst hole to be in my opinion, in fantasy football. You just want to get that first dub, know that your team can at least produce 1 week. And I'm not talking a nice 120 to 110 sneak out win. I'm talking you want to drop 160, 165 and get a solid dub. So that's what I did last week. So I'm hoping my squad continues. My dynasty team is definitely a bigger question mark. I'm like, if you look at my roster, it has the potential to be a good team this year, and then it has the potential team to be like cheeks next year, or it could be to the point where these guys on my team break out a little bit better and improve a little bit. And now we're looking at my team next year going, okay, it could be a championship. So I'm in like kind of limbo in my dynasty league. I might be moving Mark Andrews and Najee Harris by the end of the year to get draft capital, or I could be, set like trying to buy to try to make a run this year if some of my guys play well. So we'll kind of keep it updated. I think our leagues are interesting, so I'll have more people on the show from the leagues as well. But that's it. We'll move on from fantasy. I know not too many people love fantasy football. But kind of just let's dive into these thoughts that I had. Steelers win over Bengals this weekend. I don't know how much NFL you watched this weekend. Dude, it literally looked like the Steelers absolutely were bullying the other team. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like Joe Burrow was intimidated. I'm not saying like Jamar Chase was intimidated. But, dude, there was a couple times, I forget who tried to catch the pass in the end zone from the Bengals, but there was a time where the ball was literally in his hands, and the dude, before the Steelers guy even hit him in the end zone, literally just threw his hands away and dropped the ball before the guy even hit him, because we were literally laying the wood on these fools all day. Were. Like, it reminded me. It reminded me of
Burrow had one of the worst. Yeah, Burrow had one of the worst first halves. Like, I think he's had in his career. He bounced back a bit in the second half. They made it, a game.
100%.
Yeah, he was like struggle bus in the first half of that game.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think, dude, this is not me talking crap on Joe Burrow. I'm actually just giving credit. I'm giving credit to the Steelers defense, because it reminded me, no joke, with Minka Fitzpatrick laying the wood on fools from the safety position. It literally reminded me of back in the day when I was watching Troy Polamalu and oh my gosh. Who's the freaking Timmons over the middle, just absolutely wrecking fools. So it reminded me of that badass Steelers defense. So I'm fired up to watch that defense. I know TJ Watt's out, but I actually really don't think that's going to be that big a deal, to be honest, moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Just for the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to survive it. Our defense is good enough with Miles Jack, all those guys, that we're still going to be a good defensive team. Last thing on the Steelers game, Deontay Johnson's catch was absolutely insane. And personally, I'm not going to lie, I've had a little change of heart this morning, because Trubisky has been kind of, out there saying they need to be more aggressive. He doesn't want to just be a game manager. He wants to try to put up points. So he kind of fired me up with some of the quotes he had this week. So I'm curious to see if they do kick it up a notch on the aggressive side of things there. Quickly, another thing I'll say, Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes are fucking insane at football. Like, literally insane at football, dude. Like, I'll literally just leave it at that. Moving on, Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, okay? The Wes Phillips offense, whatever offense that group of coaches learned, literally those wide receivers are butt naked in the middle of the field. And literally, no joke, don't get me wrong, I can't read defense, I can't do shit. I could hit Justin Jefferson in the middle of the field with some of those effing passes that Kirk Cousins. Don't get me wrong, I think Kirk Cousins is a beast. Dude, they stand there. They literally stand there on nothing but grass.
It's crazy how
literally
how the wideout one, two of the best wideouts in the game, are just naked.
Literally
almost half the routes they run too. It's like,
and I'm watching, and then I watch, like, let me give an example. Not like Jamar Chase gets separation too, but like I'm trying to think of a guy that is like really good and just not in a good offense or something like that. I'm trying to think of somebody who we can kind of compare it to here. Even like Devontae Adams, right? Even like Devontae Adams, that dude, like, I trust me, he's a beast. He's open. He creates all kinds of separation, but it's more like timing separation, to where he puts a quick move, ball's delivered, and he's making contested catches a lot as well. Like, Could you imagine a guy like DK Metcalf? Oh, this is an even better example. There we go. That's the one. That is a perfect one. DK Metcalf, okay? That dude, I've literally almost never seen him open, and he literally has to catch the ball, break 2 tackles, and then he takes it to the end zone when he breaks one. Yo, if he was in that Cooper Cup offense, could you imagine DK Metcalf just catching the ball in the middle of the field with nobody within 15 yards of him? And he can gain speed, and then people can try to catch him or tackle him. Somebody would die. Somebody would die. I'm serious. DK Metcalf is one of the most frustrating people in the NFL. Not him. Like, he's unbelievable. But, like, the way they use him sometimes blows my mind. And I feel like he could be dropping crazy seasons. But, yeah, I wanted to just kind of call out Wes Phillips in that offense because Justin Jefferson is obviously going to start getting double-teamed, all this kind of crap, and he's still going to continue to just be wide open in the middle of the field. I guarantee it. St. Brown brothers, Amon-Ra and Equanimous, I think I'm getting that right, scored TDs in within 2 minutes of each other this weekend on NFL Red Zone. So that was sick. Cool. The reason I'm saying that and just pointing it out is because I actually have both those guys on that dynasty team. So yes, Equanimous St. Brown is on my bench. He doesn't start, but that's how deep that league is. I have that dude rostered in that league. Which is awesome. I hope he breaks out. He's actually technically the number 2 for the Bears right now. So I hope Justin Fields has a good year and throws him some passes. Moving on. Isaiah McKenzie's sister's gender reveal he did it after a touchdown. He gender revealed it for them watching back at home. So they had the video set up. So when Isaiah McKenzie scored a touchdown, they did the gender reveal for his sister. Thought that was super awesome. So, anybody listening, check that video out as well. Another week without Cade Klubnik starting for Clemson is bullshit. That's my other thought I have. Random thought, not about sports. This is the only one I have not about sports, is the TV shows from Marvel have been ass. I don't know if you've been watching any of them.
You got me into
literally
Marvel,
awful.
So and then now my
so they've been ass.
He's really into Marvel too. So me and him have been crushing Marvel movies. We just watched Love and Thunder, the Thor one. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
I thought it was like one of the worst ones I've seen.
100% agreed. Do you think though, hear me out. Do you think like the storyline and the potential for that exact story in the comic books, tell me it doesn't have potential to where that movie could have been sick.
5 minutes of it when God, I forget the guy's name, but he picks up the sword, he kills God. I was like, dude, this is gonna be sick. And then they started doing the, Welcome to the Jungle or Guns N' Roses thing.
And Thor's soft.
And I was just
Thor's soft as hell.
This is taking a turn I don't want to see.
I feel like I could have killed Thor in 2 seconds with that sword based on how he acted in that movie. Meanwhile, he's supposed to be literally one of the most powerful superheroes. And since he gets the hammer, this is going to go nerd mode on everybody on the show right now, but since he gets Stormbreaker, the axe, he is literally supposed to turn into the greatest version of himself, the most powerful version of himself, and he's supposed to be fucking coming in with wings almost and fucking just murdering fools, and he's getting his ass kicked sometimes and being a soft ass bitch totally all the time, and I'm starting to not even like Thor. So the reason I bring that up and the reason I bring up the crappy Marvel stuff is because I think I have the perfect solution to solve all of Marvel's issues. Literally, okay? Here's the show. Here is the show that they need to make to revive the Marvel stuff. Rocket, a solo show of Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy with Bradley Cooper doing the voice. That would be fucking sick. Throw the Guardian. Yeah. So do it to where it's his journey to just his life. So you see how he was created. You see him go on some of his adventures of him stealing crap. You add another cool character in there, to kind of be his secondary character in the show. I think a Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy show would just be fun. It would be laid back and it would be sick. But that's what I got. Now I know you got to go here in a second. Let's fly through this just real quick. All right. Who would you rather favorite NFL team's QB edition? So your favorite NFL team's the Eagles, so we're going to go Jalen Hurts. Who would you rather? Kenny Pickett or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts.
Really?
Yeah,
I like it. I'm going Kenny Pickett
right
there.
Right now, I'll go Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean,
okay,
like,
fair enough.
5-10 years from now, it might
Could be
different,
saying it's Kenny
but
Pickett.
Jalen Hurts gives me a lot more
I think Jalen Hurts
than I
is
thought he
in
would give me going in.
here. This is my take about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts gives me Cam Newton vibes to where he's going to have, possibly it could be this year, where he could have an MVP season or two to where he's popping the F off, leading him to the playoffs. And then I think once his rushing kind of starts to slow down a little bit, that's when I think he'll turn into like an average
comp
QB.
for him is, I've always said he's a poor man's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, but I think he's legit. I just think he's more of a Cam Newton style, just because Lamar's more like, let me juke you out, let me like crush you, like break your ankles. So I just find Jalen Hurts when I've been watching him play a little bit more. I like literally notice Cam Newton tendencies all the time. The way he runs, the way he like reads and then takes off. Like it reminds me of the stuff Cam used to do, but I agree. Like he's kind of like a little bit lesser rushing side of Lamar Jackson with, similar passing upside, I think. But awesome.
Yeah.
Two more. We'll go Jalen Hurts or Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson's a better quarterback. I just think his team is abysmal.
Dude. Let's go. I used to be on that bandwagon train. My brother thinks Zach Wilson's going to be the greatest Jets quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, he's like been on the record. He is holding to that.
I like a lot of the stuff he does. I just think his team is like, it's just a tough.
Me too. And I think it's starting to get to the point though where if he comes back this year and plays like shit, and I'm not talking within the first couple games coming back from injury, I'll give him some time. I'm not like that. But like if by the end of the season we don't see some elite characteristics with the team he has now, because I think their team isn't bad. I don't think their defense is that bad. I think he has some weapons, but I agree in the past. I totally agree with you. So then that's what I'm saying. I think for right now, I'm still going Jalen Hurts, but like, I think by the end of the season, I do believe in Zach Wilson, to a certain extent. I think by the end of the season, we would say, okay, I think the upside of Zach Wilson for an extended career would be definitely in Zach Wilson's side of things. Last one, Jalen Hurts. I'm curious to see what you got on this one. Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence?
100%.
So you're in on Lawrence. Like I've talked to a lot of people who
I think he'll be like Patrick Mahomes good, but Brady's mindset. Like I think he's that. Like I think he's that good. I mean,
he strikes me.
All the talent. Like his arm talent is insane. He's athletic. He's huge. Like
yes. I was watching him last year a lot, and I started getting nervous. And now, instantly, after 1 week in Doug Peterson's offense in the regular season, no joke, all of those worries have been thrown out the window because Trevor Lawrence
hell last year with. I mean, Urban Meyer was maybe an unbelievable college coach, unbelievable recruiter, maybe one of the worst NFL coaches I've ever seen on the sideline.
Yeah, unbelievable recruiter because probably he was sending strippers to these, criminals' house. Like literally that Florida team had like 9 convicted felons on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so who knows what Urban Meyer was doing in college? We saw him basically grinding up on a girl while he was the coach of the Jaguars. That video came out and he had to apologize. I mean, could you imagine seeing like Mike Tomlin? Could you imagine seeing a video of Mike Tomlin coming out where there's a girl grinding on him?
No,
like at a bar after a game? No, he would never. It would never happen. So yeah, I totally agree. I just got a little nervous about his decision making because obviously at Clemson there's going to be dudes butt naked and he's better than everybody there. So I got a little bit nervous about his decision making after last week. Don't get me wrong. I know he threw that bad interception late in the game, but dude, everything up until that point, he was making the right decision every single time. Some rookie stuff,
he's gonna. He's
growing pains still.
He's still gonna struggle at times this year. I mean, that Jaguars team isn't very good either, but.
No, and I think as soon as he starts figuring out the red zone, I think fantasy-wise, because he is my dynasty quarterback, I think fantasy-wise he's going to start being legit as well. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, next little segment. I know I'll literally keep you maybe for another 4 minutes here. How many Super Bowls will blank win? All right, so let's just run down the list. First one I got, similar guys, Kenny Pickett.
2.
What do you got? It's exactly the same number I put. I think the Steelers defense, they'll get him a team that's good enough to where he'll go on a run. And I think if he has a nice 15 career, I think I could see him winning 2 as well. Josh Allen. I know. It's so hard not to be crazy with these numbers. It really is.
I think I'll go 3 on him. I think they have a run where they maybe get 2 in a row, and then he gets 1 a little bit later in his career.
I was gonna say maybe 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4. I could definitely see happening, and then maybe again later on in his career, he gets another one on his farewell tour almost. Now don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be shocked if he wins 5 or 6. But I wouldn't be shocked at all. It just depends on how his team shapes out every year. Next one, Pat Mahomes.
I'm going to go 3 again.
Okay, so here's what I did. I was a little funny on this one just because I'm not a big Pat Mahomes guy. Don't get me wrong. I respect the shit out of him. He's insane at football. I think I mentioned it earlier in the show. I don't remember. But I said 1 because I don't want him to win. I don't want him to win another one ever again. And I don't.
I thought about saying 1. I did. I thought about it, but I think he gets 1 or 2 more for sure.
I said 1, and then I wrote ... in my notes. I wrote ... but probably 4. Because he's a beast. He is a beast. He's a fucking beast.
I'm interested to see how this year goes for them. And that'll kind of tell a little bit more about how many I think he would win down the line, just because this is
I think tonight's going to tell a lot.
This is the first year that tonight's going to have a lot of the weapons that he's used to having. I mean, they still have weapons, don't get me wrong, but it's not the A-list that they have.
It's not the elite. It's not like the elite.
And then obviously,
I think Juju will be good. I think he'll be able to spread the ball around. CEH, I think is fine.
My main concern
Kelsey's obviously a beast, but I agree.
My main concern too there is last year in the playoffs when I saw some of his O-line go down, it was a completely different Chiefs team, which is, understandable. You have, 2 of your starters on the O-line go down. The team's going to be different. But, it was a substantial struggle for them.
Yeah, he was running for his life. He was literally running for his life
just
in the
with
playoffs.
Just with his contract, it's going to be hard for them to keep guys there.
I was literally that – dude, I hate being the guy that, sticks to that mold. But it's true, dude. Literally, I think I forget what the crazy stat is, but I think it's something along the lines of no quarterback in the top 5 pay has ever won a Super Bowl or some crap, or it's been very few or something.
Those New England teams were loaded, and there was never offensively loaded really, other than the Randy Moss. They didn't even win it then. But
yes, and that's exactly why I'm kind of low on some of these numbers, because if somebody like Burrow, right, I could see Burrow taking less money to keep his team, that stuff going. But some of these guys, I don't necessarily see them doing that. So therefore, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing them winning any more than 3 max. If they're going to be looking for those max contracts, I totally agree. Last one, this one's interesting. Trevor Lawrence.
I think he gets one.
It's exactly
Yeah.
what I put. I think he started off in a crappy situation. I think he's going to have a really good career. I could see him being like a Stafford type,
Yeah.
where he has some really amazing seasons, and then a move
I mean, I was gonna
happens,
say,
or just
I almost see it as kind of a Peyton Manning situation. I know he ended up with two, but like
fair enough.
where he'll carry that team down the line eventually, but that team's roster will never be good enough for them to consistently compete for Super Bowls.
Like
Yeah,
make a
it'll
run.
just be
Yeah,
like
agreed.
he's in the playoff. He's in the
Like an
playoff
Eli
race,
Manning.
yeah, and he just has a run in the playoffs where
Yeah.
he outplays everybody.
Agreed. And also I could see if they get a weapon, like if they get like some receiver, like if they draft a guy who ends up like being an absolute menace, or they sign a guy who ends up being a menace, though that's the type of season where I could see whoever that receiver is absolutely snapping. And then with ETN, with James Robinson, hopefully they keep them around. I could see in the next like 3 or 4 years them being like able to make some sort of crazy run. Potentially. That's why I only put one as well. Awesome. So let's do last thing. This is stupid. Are you good? Do we need to end it? Are you good for like this last thing? Okay, cool. So we're just going to do the stupid draft. We'll do 3 rounds. We'll go 3 rounds, back and forth of your favorite candy. No chocolate. Let's go that sweet candy. All right. You can get I'll give you first round pick.
First round pick, 1 overall, Zowers. I don't know if you guys remember those, but they were like the sour original. Yeah,
Zowers.
Like original Mike and Ike, like sour version. Because now they have Mike and Ike sours, and those aren't anywhere near the same. But Zowers, dude.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Now that you said the Mike and Ike's ones, I remember the old sour ones for sure. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. My first overall pick is a little bit weird as well. I did specifically Sour Patch Cherries. I have not seen these at a store. I have not, been able to find them on Amazon even. I used to go, no joke, used to be like, the Sour Patch Cherries. They're just like the little red circles. They don't even make them anymore. And no joke, I could smack 10,000 of those. They were fire. That's what I'm going with. And then I guess the loop around, we're going to do a nice snake draft here. I'm going Starburst, all pink. Simple as that. That's like kind of my weakness. The pink Starburst is one of my favorite things on planet.
My next one would be the red, so cherry now and laters. I mean, you've seen me smack
those. Are literally. Those shouldn't be called now and laters. Those should be called cavity laters. Because those things literally, you actually can feel the candy like ripping out the filling in your teeth.
Those are phenomenal.
Yeah. So that's why I try to keep it under a minimum of maybe eating 2 of those a year, because I just don't want
a night. You've seen it.
I've witnessed it with my own eyes. All right, my last pick, I saved it for third because I knew you weren't going to go with it, but I think they're in my life now turning out to be one of the biggest sleeper candies of my entire life, and I'm pissed that I haven't eaten more of them, is Tootsie Roll Fruit Chews. Okay? The colored Tootsie Rolls. Dude, next time you're in Walmart, go over to the candy section, get yourself a bag of the Tootsie Roll Fruit Chews, pop the red one or the vanilla one in your mouth, and tell me it's not one of the greatest things you've ever tasted in your life. I went, so just to let you know a little story about these things, I bought a bag the other day, and I watched my parents' house for them this weekend. So my brother and Allie were here. I wasn't obviously at Nick and Allie's where I stay. I go into the pantry when I get back. They completely killed the entire bag. They are both on board. That's one of their favorite candies now. So it is 100%. I'm telling you, get on the hype train. I'm going to be hyping up Tootsie Roll Fruit Chews for a while now. But all right, that's going to be it for the show. This is actually one of my longer episodes. I'm pumped that you could stay this long and do this for me. I really appreciate it, Crouse.
Awesome being on, dude. Had a great time.
Everybody, listen. Yeah, everybody. No doubt. Everybody listening, make sure you follow the Arm Barn on, all the social media stuff. I'm going to be starting posting my episodes on Rumble too. The first episode on Rumble's up. So if you guys have Rumble, if you guys are moving over to Rumble a little bit, you guys can definitely swing the follow on that as well. But TikTok, Instagram is mostly what I'm going to be posting on. And then obviously swing the follow on Spotify, leave some comments, Apple Podcasts as well. But yeah, I'm super excited that you came on. I think this was an awesome episode. And thanks for coming on the Arm Barn.
Had fun. Look forward to coming back on later dates.
Yes, hopefully I can text you later this weekend and say, good match because I just whooped your ass in some fantasy.
I need a dub this. I need a dub this week. So I hope.
I know you do.
I hope your team has 90 points this week.
You need Swift's ankle injury not to be just a maintenance day. You need Swift's ankle injury to be a concern going into the weekend.
I need McCaffrey to go off.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of nervous about facing you with McCaffrey this week because what did he only dropped like 15.
So he is.
So that means he usually averages like 26 a week. So that means what 45 this week is gonna happen. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I think Baker's going to be throwing him the ball and kind of let McCaffrey take back over that offense a little bit. But Crouse, like I said, thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody for listening to the Arm Barn.